you're not going to get anywhere unless you try. It all comes from you putting the efforts to go, I want to find my first XSS, even if it's in a full disclosure program. I've learned, I understand it. It's time to apply it now to something that is not my comfort zone anymore. You don't need recon. You don't need recon. I think a lot of us, or a lot of hackers fail in bug bounties because of the assumptions. They're assuming the other person is as knowledgeable as them.
Okay, so let's talk money. I love this part.
Go to dinner. Go celebrate. You just got your first $5,000. You need to celebrate. So just, like you said, trust the process.
Hey everyone, this is AmrSec and welcome back to a new video. If you're just starting bug bounty, there is one name you will keep hearing, not just on the write-ups, but on streams, on live events, and in every Discord you join. You probably already guessed it. Today I'm joined by Ben, also known as NahamSec, one of the most recognized hackers in the game, from smashing big names programs to building platforms, teaching thousands, and literally shaping the community. This one's going to be different. We are talking about starting in bug bounty the right way, getting better, faster, building a career, and going full time, and even handling the financial side too. The stuff no one really breaks it down. So this is SecMeet and welcome NahamSec. Hey Ben, how you doing? Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. Super excited to be on your channel. Big fan of your work. Super excited to be here.
That's actually really cool. I was watching your videos like from very long time before even I started bug bounty, and I was really loving the web security part. And when I just started, the first thing that I was watching is the bug bounty part of this thing, and the thing that I was always hearing is NahamSec. So I was always there, and yeah, that's how I started that.
Very cool, man. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping the channel has enough content for people to get started, find a place to, they belong, and they can eventually do bug bounties on their own and kind of change their lives like I have.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. So we don't need any intros right here. We don't have to introduce ourselves. So let's start by getting started in bug bounty hunting. What would you say is the real first step for someone who wants to get into bug bounty today?
I mean, that all depends on your background, right? It depends on how much you know. If you're a computer science student, probably a lot easier. But if you are a biology major, it's probably a little bit harder because you have to have the fundamentals. I made the mistake of kind of skipping the fundamentals a little bit, but I ended up overcorrecting by spending like enormous amounts of time on the computer. Every time I didn't understand something, I would look it up, Google it, study it, whatever it was, right? So I think the first right step, honestly, is to do the fundamentals if you don't know them. Obviously, if you are a computer science student, you know the fundamentals because you're going to learn what networking is, how does computer work, what's an IP, what's support, those are the kind of things you know them. Then the first step would be to learn basic hacking. This isn't just learning how to web hack, it's understanding what are these exploits that we talk about. What is what is port scanning? What is the proof of concept? It's just understanding the basics of security and hacking terminology so you can start doing these vulnerabilities and exploits to be able to speak the language, right? And then from there, you go and learn the basics of hacking, and you learn, OWASP top-10 is a good place to start. Reading reports is a good place to start, but then you start getting into it. So I think you just have to learn the fundamentals, then learn the basics of hacking, and then jump into web hacking and to learn those exploits and those different vulnerability types and techniques.
Okay, so basically you mean that if someone wants to start right now, he cannot just I want to be a bug bounty hunter. I cannot just go there and start studying the vulnerabilities of, let's say, a Swigger labs, for example. I have first to get the fundamentals such as Linux, networking, port scanning, and all of this. Once I know it, I know how to exploit it, and I know what is the proof of concept. I understand the main fundamentals. Then I can start focusing on exploits for or whatever vulnerabilities for web, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. If you don't know the fundamentals, how are you going to understand what is it to send a post request to port 8443?
That actually makes sense, right?
You have to understand what that means. What does it mean that you send a post request and you get a 405 coming back as the response for it? If you don't understand what this thing is telling you, then you're not going to be able to do it. It's the same way if you learn a new language. You don't just go, I mean, I use Duolingo to learn, right? I'm not going to learn Duolingo and then try and go to a lecture in French, for example, and like try to understand it. No, because I can't understand the language already. So you have to build those skills to be able to speak that language, understand the language, and then be able to communicate in that language. And a lot of it comes with just learning the basics before you jump into the more technical stuff.
Oh, that's actually something that like not most of the beginners, because I just want to say most, because actually I'm not sure, but there is a large number of beginners just starting in bug bounty. They just like they know how to use tools, they know how to do things, they know how to find bugs, by the way. But if they got, for example, like a response with 405, so they will stop like a minute. What is 405? You got what I mean? So yeah, that's exactly why the fundamentals are really important.
You either got to learn the fundamentals or be willing to adapt to the situation as you go. So that means if you don't understand something, you're willing to not skip it and actually go and look it up. What is this error? What is this, this code that's getting back? What is this endpoint? Why is this behavior? Understanding it, which that's what I did. I didn't know some of the fundamentals, right? I didn't know a lot of the things that I wanted to learn. So I had to go back and go, I want to understand why these things happen. But if you're skipping that, then I think you're going to hit a ceiling where you're not going to grow anymore as a hacker.
Actually, I've said that to Rainator in my previous SecMeet, that searching skills is one of the most important things in this field we are in. Because actually, if you're just skipping anything that you don't know, you probably will not move. You will not make any progress. So you have to understand what happened right here, right?
Yeah, I mean, searching is one of probably the best things you can learn in life, not just hacking. You can search answers for anything you want online as long as you know how to look for it. And then the second one is how to grep for things. Honestly, it's a form of searching in a Linux command, right? And that's like one of the things I use a lot. And it goes into even like, your Caido, Burp sheet, how to look for information. Just the ability to know how to look for information in any circumstance is what makes us great hackers, honestly.
That's honestly cool. So do you think platforms like HTTP or Hack the Box or Try Hack Me help in building the right mindset for bug bounty?
I think these platforms that are out there, this is... I'm a little bit biased with platforms because I have my own that I teach on, right? So I'm a little bit biased to say, go and try these platforms. But there is something to say about the hacker mentality and the hacker mindset. A lot of us became hackers because we love finding flaws in things. We love to find loopholes in rules. We love to find things, back in the day it was like hacking vending machines to get free stuff. We loved hacking games for cheat codes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we always had that mentality of thinking like a hacker before we got into hacking for the bug bounty aspect of it to make money. So I think that is a personality that, not a personality trait, but a skill that you kind of develop and have, and you just amplify it with hacking in these platforms, or you have to learn as you go from others. But these platforms are a really good place to give you the tools, the skills that you need to know, but they don't give you the mindset. No one's going to tell you how to think like a hacker, right? You have to develop it on your own and then supplement it with these bug bounty platforms that are going to teach you the way of getting to these vulnerabilities, practicing them, learning them, and so on.
Yeah, actually, like from another perspective, these platforms are very good. Like basically, it's very awesome. For example, if you get into web security, it will teach you how to use the tools to do specific things. It will teach you how to fuzz. It will teach you everything. But if you want to get into bug bounty, you need someone who already in bug bounty to tell you to do that. For example, Hacking Hub, right? So there, for the bug bounty course, for example, you know how to do exactly what you need. So it's not just telling you how to use FUF. So okay, I have knew how I can use FUF. Then
and the tools are what we teach exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so how do you recommend learning to read and understand web applications properly before hunting?
I think it's not so much reading, man. It's I think hacking has to become something that you naturally gravitate towards. I'm sure when you're buying something online, there's that voice in your head that goes, I want to see this API and how it works. I think it's what is it called? It's muscle memory more than anything. It's something that you practice every day where you just naturally do it. And you have to build that muscle, whether it's at first reading things, doing the write-ups, reading people's write-ups, reading, reports from HackerOne, from Buckcrowd, reading, integrity stuff. Yes, we had going to all these platforms, learning in theory, and then doing these bug bounty platforms. There's the Yes We Hack Dojo, there's Hack the Box, Try Hack Me, Hacking Up, all this. You go and learn those. But at the end of it all, dude, you're not going to get anywhere unless you try. It all comes from you putting the efforts to go, I want to find my first XSS, even if it's in a full disclosure program. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this in the comments, but it is still a better approach to go hack a VDP and not get paid for it than do a CTF. These two are almost the same, except one of them, there's a solution, and one, you don't have a solution, and you're developing skills to kind of be able to sniff out when there is a vulnerability.
Exactly, like I've said to Rainator, when there is a hunter knows that there is a bug right there in that lab, he will get it. Like believe it or not, he will get the bug, even he spent time or even got it in just 5 minutes. You got what I mean? But when they go into the real world app, like he just don't know what he want to, what he have to do, and struggling. Like it's just easy, man. Just go and try to find anything.
And I think with CTFs, this is not to say CTFs aren't there, because I've actually, we have a CTF team, and some of these CTF players, they know some of these techniques that I can't even wrap my head around, man. Like, I go, why do you know these things? Because I've done CTFs. It's a really good place to learn these things, right? And the skill sets are transferable to the real world. You can use those skills in bug huntings, which you can't just say, I know these things, I'm going to one day find a bug. You have to actually sit down with a goal of, I want to find my first stored XSS in a VDP, in a bug bounty program, in a real company. I want to find my first IDOR or PII leak or whatever it is, account takeover. And you have to set that goal to go and do it in order to achieve it. I think it's a shift in mentality to go, I've learned, I understand it, it's time to apply it now to something that is not my comfort zone anymore.
That's 100% right. So of course we all hope that all the people who are watching us, if someone did not just started bug bounty, we hope that he get his first bounty, of course.
Absolutely.
So what are the biggest mistakes beginners make when choosing a target or program?
So it's a great question, man, because I think a lot of people want to go from here where you start. They want to jump to be up here. You can't be the next, whoever the top hacker idol is that you have. Let's say it's me, Nagli, Justin, today is new. You can't go overnight. These guys didn't go there overnight. I saw Justin at his first live hacking event 7 years ago. And, to see him where he's at today, it's incredible. But that wasn't overnight. He learned things in, 3-4 years, spent learning everything. And then over time, your growth goes like this, and then you just take off, right? So it's just patience is the key that I can tell you. Is like, be patient. You're not gonna, people didn't become that good overnight. I didn't become that good overnight. None of the anyone that tells you they did it in like a short amount of time is not telling you the whole truth. There's so much time that goes into this, just like any other sports. Whether you're playing football, basketball, it takes practice and a lot of years of practice. The second one is, forget recon, man. You don't need to automate everything. Recon should just be finding assets to hack on. Subdomain enumeration, a little bit of HTTPX. You don't need to run Nuclei on everything. You don't need to have a massive automation system to maintain. All of those is extra things you don't know. And the other thing is, what are you going to do when you find a vulnerable endpoint if you don't know how to exploit it? So you have to learn how these exploits work before you can find things with recon to exploit them further, right? If you don't know what SSRF is, how are you going to exploit an SSRF endpoint as SSRF in it that you found through subdomain enumeration, content discovery and things like that, right? I think those are the two main mistakes that a lot of people forget. They want to just go to the end of the story and then not enjoy the journey of getting there. And then they want to automate everything so they just make money. And that's not the reality of it, man. That's not how it works.
Actually, being honest with you, recon is important, but not automated tools. Like, for example, I cannot just open a specific tool and give it my target, and I hope it give me critical tag and tell me there is access is there, go hunt for it. Because that's not possible. Even if it's giving me something like this, and I'm not having the knowledge to exploit XSS, how can I do it? So recon is important.
It is important, man. I think there's a difference between reconnaissance and automating everything, right? You want to do reconnaissance to be the first to find an asset that's gone up, maybe. You want to do reconnaissance because you want to find extra things that other people haven't hacked on. That is reconnaissance. It's not automation. People confuse the two. Sure, you should go and find old endpoints to hack on. Do your recon. But that's not the first thing you need to do. As a newbie, if you're just getting started, you need to become very good at these vulnerabilities. You need to understand how an IDOR works, every possible form of an IDOR. How does XSS work? Every possibility. How do you bypass SSRF? Every possibility of that. The different flavors of RCE. The different ways you can use an account takeover to make get an account takeover. These are all things that you have to learn before recon makes sense, right?
That's it, right?
Then you start building that, and then you get assets you can hack on, and you have, you want to widen that net of things that you can hack on to find vulnerabilities in.
Okay, so basically, like, reconnaissance is only for you to spot a new places to hunt on. It's not for finding you a bugs. It's not for anything. It's just to let you know, hey, there is something new right there. There is something new right here. You can search for this. You can search for that, right?
Yep. In 2023, I turned down every server I had. Because one, I wanted to tell people you don't need automation to find vulnerabilities. And I stood by it. And I've made way more money doing that than I did in the last 3 years of it.
That's actually cool. That's really cool.
Because I keep, the thing that I struggle with my YouTube channel is I never want to give them advice that I don't follow myself. Because that's just selling a fake thing. I don't want to sell people a dream. I want people to be able to say, well, how do you know? Because I've done it. So as a part of it, I ended up turning all my servers down, and I kept telling people, you don't need recon. You don't need recon. You need to just sit down and rip apart a main application. And all these live hacking events that I go to, dude, the main applications are always freaking vulnerable because nobody's looking at them.
Yeah, like most of the hunters are trying to do subdomain enumeration. Of course, like, they're not automating things, but they go into, for example, start finding subdomains, and they are finding these like that subdomains that have crazy names, and once you open it, you get 403 or 404. It's not working all with these subdomains, and they start going there and start finding things. So most of them doing that. But listen, you can just go to the main app and just see a search bar, try something in it, and it will work. Maybe not, because everyone just ignored it.
There are two things with that, man. One is I even fell for this. I caught myself just doing subdomain enumeration, going to FF. Next subdomain, FF. Next subdomain, FF. Next subdomain, FF, right? And I kept doing it and not finding bugs. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing right now? Like, why am I not spending time looking for applications that have functionality on them? Right? Because you get into this loop that you go, I want to just hack this way because that was a cool thing back in the day. And it had a lot of automation around it, but it wasn't getting me the bugs that I found, that I would enjoy, that I want to talk about, right? And then, so my new rule was only recon to find applications that have login in front of them. Because then there's something behind that login that they're keeping away from regular users. Then you have authentication issues, authors and issues.
That's actually right. Like, talk about logins. I was hunting on a target like 3 days ago, and I found login. The login, like, when you take a look on it, like, it's super secure, and the domain looks very legit. You can just try whatever you want. You will not get in. And by wrong, I just added admin, and I saw that I'm in. Like, how? I was surprised because I forgot what I had written, and I don't know actually how I'm in this, but actually it's just like I just tried. That's all it takes.
Yep. And what I've learned is that a lot of companies also mess up their registration flow, where you can elevate your access, you can become an admin, you can become a manager, you can, maybe there's no registration available in the UI, but you can find a way to create user. There's so many things you can do that, yes, you could get to that by doing recon, but why? Why not enjoy the process of looking through the code, understanding the application in a depth, and it's going to yield out more and more vulnerabilities for you.
I always like to understand the app rather than just knowing that there is endpoint here and endpoint there. Because when you understand it, you will start crafting a vulnerability that it wasn't actually exist. And you're going to link this with that, and then you will have a very good vulnerability, like world tier vulnerability. So there is people that are getting bored. And I actually I really understand them, because I was getting bored. I was changing program like every day when I was starting, because actually I wasn't understand what I'm doing. Like I get into that and nothing, and I get into that and nothing. And actually I am like, I was the one who's saying nothing, not the app. You got what I mean? That's why this is wrong.
Yeah, and you're not the only person, man. Like, I want to make it so people understand. It's not just, I have done the same thing. I want people to understand at different levels you go through that. But the key of it all, that the solution is like, you just have to find what works for you. A lot of times the recon stuff is really cool, but like you were mentioning, if you continue doing recon to find things through content discovery and FFuff and fuzzing, yeah, you're going to find vulns, but you're going to miss a lot of more stuff too. Because as you mentioned, you're finding vulnerabilities tailored for this application. You understand the things that matters to this company, to this application, because you understand the purpose behind it.
That's actually right. So let's talk about if someone has a few hours in the week, and where should they put that tie?
Let's say you have 2 hours a night is all you can do. I would say
14 hours per week, right?
Let's say 10 hours of it, 10 to 2, because you want to have a weekend off to yourself. Friday night, you want to spend time. What I want to tell them is that you want to have balance too. You don't want to do every night. It's okay to take some time off. Let's say you have 5, you want to do it on the weekdays, maybe on the weekends for fun, you want to also spend some time. 10 to 14 hours is a week. You have your job, you have your family, things you have school, whatever it is. I think 2 to 3 hours a night, you can split it up. Spend some of the first days of the week spending it on your platforms, on learning. You're reading some stuff, taking notes. You're doing CTFs. You are doing hack the box, try hack me, hacking up, whatever you want to do. That's the starting point. Take those and apply it to a vulnerability disclosure program. Or if you want to be comfortable, you don't want to do VDPs, completely fine. You want to get paid for your time, go into do it to a bug bounty program. I think there are enough bug bounty programs for people to find vulnerabilities nowadays. But split it in that. Do a couple of days of hunting, a couple of days of learning. Switch it. Maybe there's a really cool CTFs happening. Go join a Discord team. Just be a fly on the wall. Learn from these people. Join these CTFs because you're learning. If there's an SSRF, for example, as an example, you're going to see how these people have identified in a CTF. That is applicable directly to you to go and find it in a bug bounty program. So it's just more of a splitting it to a way where you're learning, and you're also learning by doing these. You have to apply your learnings at some point.
So and actually talking about that, I think they don't have to be it doesn't have to be like a table. I have today to do bug bounty hunting. I have today to learn. It can be switched like what you said, right? It's all fine because the time is ours, right?
Yep. It all comes down to, it's like skills, right? Let's say you want to go to the gym. If you go twice a day to the gym, you go Monday, then you go Friday, that's not a habit. You're just going at this point. But if you're going, I want to go to the gym 5 times a week, and I'm going to train every time I go between 40 minutes to an hour. That's how I started going to the gym when I was trying to get back into it, right? And it worked. It's a framework. You go, this is what I'm capable of doing. It's 5 times a week at this many hours. And I'm going to try and as much as I can. Maybe I take a Wednesday off. Maybe I take a Sunday off. Maybe I don't take a day off because I have it in me. But you need to take some time off and make sure you're not burning out either.
Yeah, that's really cool. So let's talk about something that's really, really awesome these days. Caido, tooling, and these things. Okay, so you have seen tools like evolve over the years. So what's your honest take on Caido compared to Burp?
So I can't give you, I'm going to give you my honest take, but full disclosure, I'm also an advisor for Caido. So I don't want people to be like, well, of course he likes the tool because, he advises for them. I'm going to tell you my opinion of it is. I think Caido has become a great alternative. I have completely switched to use Caido because the use case that I have makes sense for Caido. I only like to use proxy, replay, and I also love being able to search through things really, really fast, which Caido has made extremely easy with the HTTPQL stuff. I can look for the same name easily through the search query. If I wanted to look for my name and see every endpoint that responded with my full name. If I want to look for a a version of something while I browse, it's there. If I want to alter a response, it's all there. So for those reasons, it's just become easier, and the learning curve is not as hard as Burp Suite because Burp has so many features now, and it's just become this massive thing that is just us everything at this point. It's scanning, it's a proxy tool, it's a enterprise tool, it's all these things. It's great, but it's not for the average user like myself. I want to be able to hack things, I want to be fast, and I want to have options of it becoming the way I want it to. And one of the things that makes Caido really powerful right now in this exact moment is how much they care about feedback. How much, they hear that the community wants something and they immediately implement it. And that makes it super powerful for people like myself that are more focused on the efficiency of the tool versus the functionality of it, like Burp is. They're both great tools, don't get me wrong. I used to be a massive Burp Suite user, but for now I get more value, especially with how cheap Caido is. I get more value out of it than I do with Burp Suite, unfortunately for Burp Suite.
Actually, the Caido community is very cool. Like everything, like any problem you have, just go there, ping in the Discord, and boom, you will see it fixed. Okay, and basically the last version of Caido, which is version 49, I think, there is a changes in the design and so on. This one is very cool, and actually, to be honest, Burp is awesome. Okay, and Caido is awesome, but there is a difference right here. What you want, what are you using actually? So right now, for someone like you said you're just using HTTP proxy, and like it's only that, right? So you cannot just open a program that you start hearing your friends when you open it and you see these all tabs. So actually, I have shifted completely to Caido 2, and this is for one reason. It's super organized. For the project,
man.
Yeah. Like you cannot just add a reply tab anywhere. It have to be linked to something that link it to a project. You got what I mean? So this is why it makes it very cool, and the findings too.
Yeah, the funny thing is, like when I used to use Burp Suite, I had a hard time switching between projects because I have to exit it, open it, save it, whatever. I think with Caido's make it so much easier that now I have a project file for every single engagement that I go on, every single bug bounty I go on. With Burp Suite, it became monthly. I would have a month, July's proxy tools because I was always had it open. But with Caido, I've just caught myself being more organized, being able to label things properly, and I agree. It's become more efficient than the other tools so far.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So what do you think Caido is doing right for the modern bug bounty hunters right now?
I think they're creating a tool specific for bug bounty hunters right now. They're not trying to become a scanner. They're not trying to become an enterprise level product. They're not trying to become a tool for red teamers, pen testers, bug bounty hunters. They're trying to just nail down one category of people that are going to be their avid users, and they're very quick to take their feedback from their community and implement it, whether it's implementing it into the product itself or having their community create some sort of a plugin for it. And I think that's one of the coolest things we can do as a community.
That's really awesome. So let's talk about getting better in bug bounty hunting and leveling on, because that's all what we want, right? So what helped you personally break through the no result phase in bug bounty?
I think if you're having a hard time getting results, there's got to be something wrong with your approach. And mine was completely my approach of just relying way too much on automated tools and then becoming such a recon that I just kept going back to it. And at some point, bugs dried up. So my approach was just sticking to the same program, sticking to the main application, and then slowly from that application building up more and more. So looking for more subdomains that could be connected to the main app or has some more functionality that I could do. I'll give you Airbnb is a great example. It's a public program. When I first started hacking on Airbnb, I started hacking it as the user that books the hosting, where you can become a guest. Then I realized I could become a host. I just have to answer some questions and it unlocks a whole different application that was within the same app. I became the host. Then I realized I have a functionality for companies. Then I opened that up. Then I realized there are other APIs that you can request. You can become a developer. You can become this. Sometimes these are all within the same application. You can unlock them as you go, but sometimes they're different applications, right? So That was the thing that was wrong in my approach, is just not sticking to the same program and unlocking and putting in the effort to find more apps and functionalities to hack on.
Sticking into one app is really important. Like, it's super important, because if you're just shifting, you are not doing progress.
Yeah, I think it's not just the app, it's also sticking to the same company, because this application could have a bunch of micro apps, right? If you look at any other companies that you go and have a massive surface, let's look at Yahoo, right? If you stick to Yahoo, you start with Yahoo Mail, then you do Yahoo Groups, then you extend that to Yahoo News, then you keep going Yahoo Finance, but you have to spend enough time to know everything about this application where you're not finding any more vulnerabilities, or you have found a couple of vulnerabilities, you're tired of it, then you move on.
Mm-hmm. How do you balance hunting for known bugs versus exploring new techniques?
That's a hard one. The new techniques is usually like research is what I call it. When I want to do some sort of a research, if I want to find something that I want to do for a talk, for example, a lot of times those go together. I don't go, I'm going to try and find a new technique. I go, I'm going to look for bugs, and then I find this functionality that's like super weird, super obscure, super like, new to me, that I don't understand the functionality. Then it becomes like, I wonder if I can do this. So it's not that I go sit down today and go, I'm going to start looking for a new technique. No, it's not so much that. It's, I'm hacking and I find this functionality that allows me to do X, Y, and Z. And I go, can I force it to do this other thing that it's not supposed to? If so, how can I do that? If there are libraries that are open source that do similar things, can I test these out and see my theories work? So it's not so much that I'm seeking new techniques. It's something comes up where it forces me to go out of those known vulnerabilities.
So it's not today it's time to get a new bug or to explore a new technique. It's when you see something doing thing that's not normal, then you're going to start research to start finding a new technique to explore it.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of the cool bugs come out of. It's not that we're going, I want to find a cool bug. I'm just hacking. Then I find this company is using this really weird library. Then it is open source, but they have maybe adjusted the code in some ways. So you start installing it locally to exploit it. And then you go, it's supposed to do these things, but in the code it shows it's not supposed to do these other things. Maybe in the documentation even, you're looking at an API and it says you're supposed to do these things with this API endpoint, and they explicitly say it's not supposed to support these things. So you go, what can I do to make it do these things? And that's when I think things become a little bit different.
That's awesome. So what tools or workflows do you think are underused but insanely valuable?
Honestly, dude, the developer tools in their browser, mine is always open, whether I'm looking at the DOM, maybe I come at the network tab, looking at just things that are happening in the background. I feel like a lot of people don't use it. I know that you can do that with your proxy tools too, but I have both. It's just become a habit that it's always open at the bottom of my screen so I can see things faster, so I'm not going back and forth. The next one is just a proxy tool. If you're hacking without a proxy tool opened, you may be doing something wrong here, because you can't just navigate through these applications without having something to look under the hood. I'm the wrong person to ask about tools, honestly, because of the fact that I've made it a point to not use tools anymore. If you ask me what tools I use today, I'm going to tell you I use a few different supplement enumeration tools, and most of them are getting them from a paid resource. So I'm grabbing it from C99 or grabbing it from Census, Shodan, and putting them all into one, and then using numerous tools that do that. So like a subfinder, find domain, things like that. Then I use my proxy tool that does most of the things that I want to do, because I'm exporting things manually. And then the network tab, like I mentioned, your dev tools, and the occasional nuclei just for things that I want to automate that I've created for myself that I just think, it's easier to automate it. But I'm not running nuclei every day, every week. It's just for specific cases that I want to quickly do. And then one last thing is learning regex, man. So I'm going to get one more thing. Learn regex. I think the root of all of our problems is regex. Learn regex. I think you get a lot of good value out of it.
Regex is awesome. Actually, it's awesome. I started using it every day, literally, when I started using Caido, because in the match and replay thing, I wasn't actually using it in Burp, but I went to Caido and see Regex, so I was like, yeah, I heard this word before, you know what I mean? So what is Regex? Like, I wasn't understanding what the hell is this actually. So I went to search for it, and I saw how powerful it is. And I started doing that, and it was really awesome. So Regex is just like, we don't have to talk about it, actually.
But that's what makes you a good hacker, if you think about it. You realize you don't know regex. You go and look what regex is. You learn everything about the thing that you wanted to, regex in this case. You're applying it every day to Caido. That's the power of searching and looking for things, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like even like 2 days ago or something. I like 2 days ago, I was knowing what regex is. I saw this Hack and Hub post was talking about regex and doing some specific thing, and I saw it and stopped for a minute, and I said, what? How this happens? So I get into it and I start to analyze it with my eyes, and I found that there is something I'm missing. So I went to ChatGPT. I told them, explain this. You got what I mean?
Yeah,
so how this happened right here. And when I just understood it, I found that I can do very much things just with this.
You can use regex for recon. You can regex for grep. You can use regex for Caido. You can use regex to find vulnerabilities like your open redirects, your SSRFs, your cores sometimes, filters are sometimes like that. So it goes into everything for you to understand at a very, very core level.
That's actually really cool. So how important is writing reports and documenting what you find, even if you don't submit it?
So I don't do a lot of documentation as like note taking. A lot of my notes are in Caido, if that makes sense. Like I repeated it, I name it properly. It's organizing it really, really well. So like making sure if it goes to replay, I have it named properly at the top so I know what I was looking at the time. Everything lives for me in Caido and not so much of taking notes. But when it comes to reporting things, my rule is assume the person on the other side of the screen knows nothing about this application. You have become an expert at this application because you just spent 40 hours finding this vulnerability. You know how everything works. You know what the functionalities are. You know what all the menus are and things like that. But I could be the triager on the company, and it could be my first day and they told me to triage a vulnerability. I may not even know how this app works. So assume they don't understand anything and go from there. So my first thing is, if I have to log in, I say, go to this URL and log in. So it's like, hackerone.com/sign in, for example. I link to it and I go log in. And then if I have to go to a menu, I go on the top right corner, click on the 3 bars, click on this menu, click on that menu, and here's a screenshot of what you're looking at. You have to over communicate because one, none of us, most of us aren't English speakers. We've just learned English to communicate better. So even for triagers, that could be the thing. We don't know all the applications. You want to over communicate everything. And honestly, over communicating is better than under communicating because you could give them an idea about a potential impact of a vulnerability by putting it in your report, and they could investigate it for you. But if you don't communicate that, they can't read your mind. You can't assume they understand vulnerability types as much as you do. I think a lot of us, or a lot of hackers, fail in bug bounties because of the assumptions. They're assuming the other person is as knowledgeable as them. So over communicate the impact, what you think, how to reproduce it, and just make sure you have everything in that report. It's your one shot to get their attention and get that bounty to the point that you want it to be.
Actually, that's really true. That's really true. I just reported something like, I don't know, like last night, I think, and I found that the reader telling me, directory listing, I think is telling me there is no security thing right here. So I was like, directory listing? I did not talk about this completely. Like, I don't know actually where is directory listing right here. So I went back and read my report, and I found that actually if he don't know what, like if he don't have my eyes, he will not understand what I'm writing. You got what I mean? So yeah, I just explained to him and get back. So that's really important. All the details.
Yeah, it's details, it's communication, and just we all have different backgrounds. You can't assume just because you know something, the other person knows it too. And that goes with hackers too, man. If you're collaborating, it's the same thing. You can't assume they understand the application as much as you do. So you want to over communicate so they can be at your level as well.
talking about collaboration, do you believe collaboration makes a real difference in the Ember?
Absolutely, man. I think collaboration is one of the key reasons I've become good, and some of the hackers that I know have become great at what they do. It's not just there's two aspects to collaboration. You have the fun aspect of having somebody to celebrate with, somebody to be sad with if you don't find a bug, if it's a duplicate, if the triager says it's not critical, it's a high. You have this aspect of it, like the moral support aspect of collaboration.
You cannot just be the only upset one right here.
Yeah, exactly. But then you have the technical aspect of it. You get to firsthand see how somebody else approaches the same exact problem, the same exact application, the same exact vulnerability as you. You get to learn how they do it. What did they think about when they came to this conclusion? And that is an extremely important thing to have. It's perspective on things that you will never have unless you're collaborating with somebody. So it's a great learning tool, and it also gives you perspective on things that you would probably never think. If it wasn't for some of my really good friends, like Zayed, him and I started at a very early stages of bug bounties together. He was asking me things that I thought it was common sense. And then the other way, I would ask him some things and be like, hey, how do you not know this? Or like, oh, this is how I did it. To him, it was common sense. Or to me, it was common sense. But that's because I was doing these things for so long that it made sense to me. Or I was doing, some of the things that I do because of my background, it makes sense to me, but it doesn't make sense to a developer, right? It brings those out. I have a developer that I work with, and he always asks, why do you think this way? But because he's thinking about a developer perspective in his brain. He's like, I would never write this code in this way that you're asking it, you're looking at it, but the vulnerability is there. So it's just a huge perspective to show.
So actually, like everyone thinking from his perspective, and that's why collaboration is very good. Like you have your own techniques. You know how to hunt these specific things, but I have my own techniques too. I know how to hunt for these things. So being together, that means, well, I know you don't know, so we're going to share it, and same as for the bugs, techniques, and so on. So that's why collaboration is very cool.
Yeah, and it could also be that you show somebody a vulnerability you found in an application, and you have probably looked at it a million times to find the same thing, and you have missed it. Another person with fresh set of eyes could come in and find that same exact vulnerability because they realized what behavior you were looking at, and they had seen it somewhere else where you can find this vulnerability, right? So it makes it so much easier. You have two brain powers now instead of one.
Yeah, actually, that's actually happened with me. I don't know if you are familiar with that or not. It's a IIS tilde short name enumeration. I wasn't like exactly 2 days ago. I wasn't understand what this is. Like I knew that there is an extension for Burp to do that, and when I knew how it's work, I saw that I have missed like at least thousands of websites that are doing this and vulnerable to that. But I cannot just get back to them because I wasn't know what is that.
It's like having another person teaching you things that they already know. It gives you a really good way of learning it from someone that understands it already.
That's actually correct. So let's talk like this is basically all the things for the beginners or someone who's just starting. Like let's say like the start. So right now I am and you are, we became a professional bug hunters. So how we can go full-time or working for ourselves?
So if you want to go full-time, first of all, you need to have a good plan. You can't just say, I'm going to go full-time tomorrow and just execute on it. The first thing is you have to have a 6 month of runway, man. Like you have to have enough money in the bank account to go. If I don't make any money in 6 months, I have enough to go, because that does two things. One, it pays your bills. You don't have to worry about it, but it also gives you a little bit of, it puts your mind at ease. That you go, you know what? I have 6 months of bill. If I have a bad month right now in the beginning, I have 5 more months that could cover me. And maybe in the next month, I'll make some money that could cover me, right? That's the number one thing, is you have to have a runway to be ready with your plan. The second thing is that runway comes with you building up to it. So you have done years of bug bounties where you know you can at least make X amount of money every month. So let's say if you have to, your bills are $5,000 a month, you're making $7,000 a month already. On average, you go, I could do this. I could do $7,000. I've saved up enough money to build my runway. That's the financial aspect of it. There's also a technical side of it that you can do Oh, you need to understand before you jump in. You have to know all these vulnerability types. You have to know how to look for them before you can consider this person that I mentioned. So you have to be good at it. And if you're, if you're living with family, if you're living at home, for example, and you're going to college, maybe it's easier to do this. It's easier to say I'm a full-time bug bounty hunter because you don't have to worry about your bills because you have, financial aid or your family's helping you or you're in college. It's just a whole lot easier. But if you have responsibilities, you have to think about having this plan. And then the third thing is having those, what I call backup programs that, if I go back to this program, I may be able to find a bug or two at any point, at any given point, because I understand it so much, because I've hacked on it for so many hours already that I have it under my tool belt. And that comes with years of practice. And then the fourth thing and the last thing is just confidence, man. You got to believe in yourself. It's really hard to do that. It's really, really hard when it all depends on you to do it. But you have to come to a point where you believe in yourself, you believe in your levels of skills, and you have the confidence that you can pull it off.
That's actually really, really awesome to let anyone who just starting like thinking to go full time to understand. So actually, like talking about these backup programs, I have found that guys like Justin or these people, they are leaving like, this low hanging fruits. They are leaving it like they just ignore it for the apps, and when they want it, they can get back to it, or they can chain it with other things.
It's just it's a fallback, man. I mean, it's not that if I find a bug, I'm going to report it, but there's a couple of programs that I can go, you know what, I'm going to go try these programs whenever I need to go and hack. I have these programs that I'm always going to be an anchor hacker on. I call them an anchor hacker. Like, I will always go back to them. You have to have those before you go full time.
Oh, that's great. So what's the biggest difference between hunting as a hobby versus doing it as your main job?
You're doing it as a hobby just for the extra fun. You're doing it because maybe you just want to get better at your job. Maybe you're doing it because you want to make an extra couple $100 a month, a couple $1,000 a month because you want to go on a vacation. You want to pay for a car. You want to pay for whatever, right? It's called moonlighting. You're doing it for some other reason on your free time because you have the time and you can. That's more as a hobby. I think full-time is where you're doing it as your job. Whether it's you doing it, I know hackers that are doing it from like 8 to 5 every day. They wake up, they work from 8. They start at 8, they end it at 5, they're done for the day. If they have some extra time, they'll do it. But it's a job. You have people like me that are like, I'll just do it whenever I feel like it, because I go into these phases when I'm going to hack, I'm going to hit this goal. If I make this much money, I'm done. I'm going to focus on something else. So that just comes with that. The hobby is you're doing it for fun. For full time, you're doing it as a job that's paying you and you have to pay yourself with. The money doesn't play a huge role in the hobbyist because they have it on a source of income, versus for the full time, it is a part of your living and your livelihood.
Okay, so if someone just is starting in the full-time bug bounty hunting, whether it's a hobby or a job or like whatever it is, so how he can avoid burnouts when it's his main income, how he can avoid that?
Burnout's a hard one to avoid, man. But if it feels like you're doing it as a chore, like you don't want to do it, but you feel forced, that you have to force yourself to do it, give it a break. It's no longer fun. You're no longer enjoying it. You're just doing it to do it. Take a week off. If you're not enjoying it, what's the point of doing it? You can't force to become a full-time bug bounty hunter. You can't force yourself to become a hacker. You can't force to enjoy something when you're not enjoying it. So you have to listen to your body and your mind, man. So if your body's telling you, I don't want to do this week, you have to take a break. There's a difference when you have a deadline of a project that you have to finish and, give it up and deliver it at work. But when you're doing something, for a living, you're doing it every day, every week, it's okay to take a break. Take a week off and go on a vacation, just like you would do it if you had a job for a company. You wouldn't care if you took a week off. You would take the week off, you would come back. It's the same thing. You got to treat it to a degree like that and be able to be okay with walking away forward for a little bit. I think I walked away from hacking for 2 years at some point when I was no longer doing bug bounties as much as I wanted to. And I was doing more pen tests. And then I came back into it. And now every time I feel like I'm doing it because I have to force myself, I put it away for a little bit.
That's awesome. So basically, take a break. It's actually that, like, you don't have to be confused. You don't have to be like, I have to get a bug and so on. Just take a break, right?
No one's going to know if you found the bug or not, man. You're doing it for yourself. So if you need to take a break, dude. It's not a competition. You don't have to compete. And none of this is going to matter if you don't enjoy it.
That's awesome. So what does your average week look like? do you still actively hunt, or is it just more content education focused now?
So it depends on the week. It depends on what I am with life. I actively hunt because I don't want to make content where I'm talking about things that I'm not doing. So I have to do that to be able to know what's happening, to be able to talk to bug bounty hunters and things like that. But it doesn't mean that I do it every week. So just recently, all of May and June, I did nothing but hack, and I put content on the side. But I'm not a full-time content creator, right? I have my own company, a hacking company that we were trying to build. So that's a priority. Most of my income comes from bug bounty hunting because that's what I've chosen to do. So I still have to kind of go back and forth. But a week, usually on Mondays, I like to plan most of my week. So Monday starts with planning, getting things done, getting emails done, getting back to reports that I've already submitted, maybe just a lot of paperwork, admin work. My Tuesdays are typically the content day. I try to, I have most of my meetings and then I have most of my recordings and things like that. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays are usually like, I can do some more hacking. I could do pen tests. I could do research and things like that. But and then in the mornings on Wednesdays I have nothing. It's usually blocked, so I can do what I want. And then Thursdays are half of the day is kind of like meetings, so I can do some hacking meetings or do some content if I need to. And then Fridays are like absolutely out. I just want to do some hacking and something that I enjoy because the weekend's coming up.
That's really awesome. And the really awesome thing is just like making your time is just like every day for a specific thing. Keeping this organized is one of the most cool things.
Yeah, and then I also sometimes like when I know let's say HackerOne invites us to an event, they go, the event starts in 3 weeks. I know in 3 weeks I'm probably going to be hacking way more than I want because there's an event happening. So I'm not going to hack as much in the next 3 weeks. I'm going to maybe look at the target, talk to other hackers a little bit. Maybe I do all my content for those 2 weeks of the events up front right now. So during those 3 weeks, I can completely dedicate myself to hack. And on those days, there's no schedule. I wake up, I get coffee, I hack, and then I have nothing. I have no schedule anymore. I go to meetings, I'm floating because I'm hacking. So those are just different times of the, things that they change sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the not normal days.
Yep. So there's like 2-3 weeks that I know there's an event. Those 2-3 weeks, everything revolves around bug bounties, about the life hacking event. And I schedule it around that.
Okay, so do you see bug bounty as a bridge to other things or as an end game?
It's a little bit of both. I've seen hackers who have, example myself, I've done bug bounties and I've gone an AmrSec job, then I got a job at HackerOne, then I went up the corporate ladder. I've seen people that have done it and then they got hired as a pen tester, they got hired as an engineer. Those are all options. But I've also seen people that were, engineers that found bug bounty and quit to do this bug bounty thing full time. It's whatever you want it to be, dude. It's not a one thing fits everybody. It's whatever you want it to be. It could be a hobby. It could be a passion project. It could be a full-time job. It could be the thing that makes you rich, honestly. But it's just what you want it to be and what you're going to get back whatever you put in.
That's awesome. So it's your choice.
You get to decide, man. It's your story. It's your life. It's your journey. You get to decide how you want to do it.
Okay, so let's talk money. I love this part. What's your best advice for managing bounty income, especially when it's inconstant?
So I actually have a video on this that's gonna come out soon because so many people ask, like, how do you manage finances? First of all, this is not illegal financial advice. I'm gonna say that, but there is a really good book. Let me see if I have it. I wish I had it. There's a cool book called there's two of them. I don't know what the other one is. One is called The Psychology of Money. It tells you not to let you what's it called? Let money change the way you think about it. And sometimes I really wish I would have read that book before bug bounties.
I actually read that book, but it was in Arabic. Like, I don't know if it's the original is Arabic or not, but I have read it, yeah.
And then there's another one called Profit First. It teaches you how to save money. So if you're going to make money and you're making large amounts of money with bug bounty, but it's inconsistent. You have to set up a system where you go, I'm going to put this much into my savings, this much into my taxes, because you have to pay taxes on this money, and then this much it goes to my operations and my bills. As long as you have the system set up, you're winning. But also with that system, you have to be able to change and adapt to it. Does it make sense to save 20% of $100,000? No, you should be saving more than that if you make $100,000 in 3-4 months, because it's a lot of money. But if you're making $10,000, then obviously 20% makes sense. So create these percentages that work for you. If you can live off of $3,000 every quarter, I work quarterly, so I go, I want to make this much in the quarter. Out of that, 40% goes to taxes, and then out of that 60%, 10% goes here, 20% goes here. This 30% goes in the other place. And I have these systems in place. And you have to have that in place if you want it to work out. But also, spend a little bit of your money, dude. Have some fun with it. Spend 10% of your money for fun stuff. Go to a nice dinner. Go on a nice date. Go on a nice vacation. Remember why you work so hard.
Mm-hmm. Like, do not just collect money.
Don't just save up your money. It's great to have a savings. It's great to have money for your runway, but you got to remember why you work so hard. You got to remember why you're doing the things that you enjoy. And you got to enjoy the fruits of your labor, as you want to call it. To go, I just went on this massive vacation because I worked so hard through hacking. And it's such a cool, incredible feeling to get you motivated to go back to it more.
So have you seen people blow through bounties because they just didn't plan financially?
I've seen it. I've done it. I've lived it, my friend. Money has a weird thing. I don't know what it is, but if you've not had a lot of money in your life at some point and you come into a lot of money suddenly, you want to make up for those days you didn't have money. It's the psychology of money, like the book I was mentioning to you, dude. But this is why, I want to teach people also, like, hey, you have to be ready for it and you have to also enjoy it. You have to have a good balance of it. But yeah, I've also seen hackers who have just bought everything on their list that they wanted to because they made $100,000 in a span of 2 months, and they suddenly went and buy the nice watch, the nice car, the nice clothes, the nice this, and there's nothing left at the end of it. I did the same thing. I bought some things that I probably didn't need, but within some realm I did the same stuff. But I realized very quickly, I need to save this money a little bit to be able to last, pay taxes, invest your money and things like that too.
Okay, that's actually what I was gonna talk about right now. Do you think investing the earning into personal growth tools or other projects are really worth it?
Absolutely, man. One, invest in yourself. So go take that course that maybe not a course, but I don't want to say courses because I would think I'm trying to sell on my course, but maybe go do that training that, so-and-so is doing that you want to do. Go to that conference that your friends go to and you want to meet people. It doesn't have to be a training. Maybe you want to go to a conference. You learn at that conference, you network at the conference, you meet people at the conference. You get to do something that's beneficial to you. Invest some money in stock. Let your money make you money while you're saving it. It is up and down sometimes, but it's a good way. Buy property if it's easier. If you have the money to buy property that could make you money. Make that money, have that money make you money a little bit. But that investment goes so many different ways. The tools that you want, maybe go and buy that, that tool that has really good data source. Maybe go buy that Shodan subscription, that Census subscription that's going to make you more bounties. The investing comes out to what your goals are. Are you going to invest to become a better hacker? Invest in yourself and go buy a nice gym membership, because it's going to help your brain. Invest in, making more money. But I think that's definitely something you need to do for yourself, man.
That's actually awesome. So what do you tell a young hacker who just made their first $5,000 bounty?
I deal with this a lot in my Discord. The first thing I always say is, grab a couple $100, go to dinner. Take your friends to dinner, take your family to dinner, whoever you want, whoever you love, whoever you enjoy celebrating with. If you don't drink, then good, go to dinner. Go celebrate. You just got your first $5,000. You need to celebrate. Don't blow the whole $5,000. Something small. Go to a nice dinner, take your friends, and pay for everybody.
Yeah, at the same time, do not just save them all. You have to celebrate.
Yeah, celebrate. The number one thing, celebrate. So you can you get something in return that you go, oh my God, this feels great. I want to keep doing this. Put money into taxes. You have to pay taxes in most countries on bug bounties. And if you have to pay taxes, then put that money into savings. The tax is your savings. So if you think you have to pay 40% of taxes, you're in some country that there's no taxes, put that into a savings. That money doesn't exist. Save for something you want, whether it's a car that's going to get you to your school, to get your family, whether it's paying off your house to, I don't know, maybe you want to retire your mom and dad. You want to pay off the house. That could be the savings. You want to buy yourself a house. Save some money for something greater than yourself. And then invest some of that money into yourself. Go buy that Caido license, that Burp Suite license. Go buy that tool that you think is going to be cool for you to use. Buy the laptop that may, help you. Save up for it. And spend some of that into things that would want you to push you to do better with this bug bounty thing.
I don't know. That's actually cool. Like, if you just get like 5 grants and go and just like set them all, you're not celebrating. So there is no motivation right here. It's like I got 5 grants. Okay, then what's the next bug? So no, if you just go to celebrate and you got this feeling like, okay, I want to do this again, and this time I gotta make it harder than the last time. You know what I mean? So this is exactly the feeling that that we gotta have.
That is definitely the right mentality that at least I do, and that's what I've done to become better. Is the first time that I got my biggest bounty was I got $3,000 bounties for SQL injections, and it gave me $9,000 in the span of a couple of days. This is the most amount of money I've ever made in my life. I had $9,000 in my bank account as a college student, and I sat there and I was like, what do I want to do with this money? So I always had a really messed up car. I went and bought a car. I spent maybe like $6,000 of it on the car because I was tired of my car breaking down all the time. I also wanted a nicer car. I was 20 something years old, and that's what you think about. But then after I bought that car, I came home and I was just like, I lived in a very, very small studio with 2 other people. And I sat there and I was like, what else can I do with this? Can I make it a goal that I make $8,000 to $10,000 every month? Because that was also what I was making at my job. I was like, can I make that every month for myself? I started doing it. Then you ask yourself, okay, I've comfortably done this $8,000 to $10,000 a month for a year and a half now. Every month I've averaged, maybe one month I made 6, the next month I made 12, but the average in that year was about $8,000 to $10,000 a month. What else can I do with this, man? Can I make it more? And every time you hit that goal, you realize it's not impossible. But you have to be realistic with that goal too. I didn't start with just saying, I want to make $50,000 overnight. You have to warm up to it. You start doing smaller goals that seem impossible in the beginning. You build up to it, and then you set up more goals. And then at some point, those goals stay that way because you have to be realistic. You don't want to overdo it. But there's going to be a place where you go, this is good enough. I'm going to start doing other things with my life.
Exactly like what I said at the beginning. You cannot just you cannot just do this and then one day you will start making 50 grams per month or per year even. You got what I mean? You said you have to learn, you have to be patient, you have to start. You're starting small, you'll end big. You got what I mean? That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a marathon, man. It's not a sprint. You gotta have to be patient. It happens. It takes time, but if you put in the time, if you put in the effort, honestly, like bug bounties have changed my life in such a drastic way. And that's why I have, the things that I do with my channel and stuff is I want people to learn and do the same thing as I have because it's so doable. You have to stop letting your anxiety tell you otherwise. And you just have to put in the work and the time, man. It's all it takes.
And you have to trust the process too. That's really, really important one I love to say.
That is definitely a way, yeah.
Okay, so what impact has building a personal brand had on your bug bounty journey?
I don't think the personal brand it has a good and bad impact, man. It has good impact because I've met a lot of people. Like people come talk to me and things like that. But I've also bad impact because I'm unapproachable to some people. Oh, he's, this YouTuber or he's this top hacker. I'm just a normal dude, man. I want to do the same things as you want to do. I want to hack with my friends. I want to make more friends. I want to meet more people and I want to have a bigger network and things like that. It hasn't really made a massive change to my bug bounty journey per se, but as a person, it's helped me grow a lot. I've learned how to network myself. I've learned how to talk to people. I've learned how to inspire people and things like that. But it hasn't had any massive impact to say I get perks out of it for bug bounty programs. I think people don't want to believe it, that it's a myth. I'm not getting any, with bug bounty platforms, I'm not getting any extra invites. I still have to email and go, hey, is it possible to get this invite or whatever? It hasn't had anything because they also have to keep it fair. But I have genuinely enjoyed it, building a brand. And, I have people that are coming up to me on my Discord telling me they made 10K for the first time, 20K for the first time. And they helped their mom retire. They helped buy something for their parents, their friend, themselves. And those are things that you can't replace with anything else, man. It's a very, very cool feeling to hear I've been able to do that for some people.
So do you think bug bounty hunters should create content, or it's just not for everyone?
So the thing is, like, you don't have to be a content creator in the sense that I am, dude. I'm a YouTube content creator. I make courses, things like that, right? You don't have to do that. Content creation could be as, I consider Sam Curry, ZLZ, a content creator. He loves putting these massive blog posts. That's content. You're creating some sort of a content in a form of a written blog, right? It just depends on what you want to do. I first started with creating blog posts because I wanted to share my knowledge, and that was my way of collaborating with people. People would read my blog posts and come to me like, oh, how'd you find this? And we'll become friends and talk about it more, right? Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. If you enjoy helping other people, you want to have an impact, you want to give back to your community, and you enjoy writing and creating content, and I think everyone should do it because it just helps move an industry forward more than anything else. But it all depends on your personal goals and who you are as a person.
That's really good. So basically, because you're a bug bounty hunter, that doesn't mean that you have to create content. You can create content by different ways, or you just can. You don't have to create content, right?
Nobody's forcing you to share your knowledge. You only share your knowledge if you have a higher goal than yourself. You share that knowledge because you want to help other people. You want other people to learn. You want other people to learn from you, whatever that case may be. You have to have a better reason to want to do that other than sharing your knowledge. Or some people do it purely because they want to share their knowledge. But you're not forced to do it, is what I'm trying to say. It just comes down to whether or not you want to do it.
Okay, so I think we reached the end of this meeting. So one question I would love always to ask to anyone I talk to. One last advice for anyone just starting, not in bug bounty, not in web security, in hacking generally.
I think the biggest advice I would say is I like saying this a lot, find a community where you feel like you belong. Because that community could become your support group. You can meet people to collaborate with. You can learn from them. You can network. Networking is king, man. Like you can do so much when you network yourself. So if I have to give you one advice, at least, it's join a community where you feel like you have a spot. It's a healthy community and not being, dishonest and not being toxic. Make friends, do things with people, and also just, like you said, trust the process.
That's actually awesome. So Ben, I really thank you for joining me today. It was really good meeting.
Of course, man. Thanks for doing this. Loved meeting you as well, and I look forward to doing more with you hopefully in the future.
Whether you are just starting out or already hunting full-time, I hope this gave you more than just motivation. Huge thanks to NahamSec for dropping serious knowledge, not just about hacking, but about life, career, and mindset. This is not about chasing bounties, it's about building something real. I have dropped all the Ben's socials down in the description, go check them out, and let me know in the comments who do you want to see in the next episode of SecMeet. So as always, if you found this video helpful, do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more cybersecurity content. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below, or you can reach me directly using Twitter. Until next time, stay curious and stay secure.